scientific laws. No mathematician has proved that there exists some Newton's law or thermodynamics law. It is observed. It is not proved. Then matter also, nobody proved that if you have laws and you have a mathematics, you can prove that there exists some oxygen or gold. It is observed. Then the living being also is not proved by some means. It is observed. You cannot prove that, okay, this is the matter. If I combine these matters, I'll get this living beings. You cannot prove it. So all these things we are able to observe. And we are using the mathematics. There is no doubt about it. Now, when we are talking about the absolute truth or supreme being, can we prove it by any means? We could not prove it by scientific laws, matter or living being. How can we prove these things which we cannot see also? Now, we are trying to prove the existence of God. Now, you can prove, like you use mathematics as you use in physical laws or matter or living being. You can use mathematics to understand supreme truth, but you cannot fully realize it. I hope you are getting my point. You cannot see that you can mathematically prove that if you throw this stone, it will go like this. But what is a stone? You cannot prove it. Physically you have to prove that, okay, if you throw the stone, it will go and fall in this place. But what is a stone? You have to either observe it or you have to realize it. So, for the absolute truth or the God also, partially you can get the feeling that, okay, this is the supreme truth. But you cannot get the full picture of supreme truth. You can get a part of that. So, there is a method which explains, Bhagavad Gita explains, to do experiment and get something, we have to follow their suggestion. So, this effort is not again futile effort, because right now generally we say that the Bhagavad Gita and all, those who are interested, they want something beyond this life. After death, they want a good life, and so they are doing. No. You can improve this world also. That is my point. You can create a better economics, better politics, social, and in fact scientific development. So I believe that the spirituality-based science and philosophy should be developed and compared with the money-based philosophy and science, because money-based means it is all cheating. If I am smart, I will cheat. That's all. The past failure in the spiritual effort or religion was only due to lack of fundamental understanding and adopting spirituality as per the convenience of the personal desires. Earlier, really, we have not used it properly. There were some great sannyasis, Prabhupada, Dr. T.D. Singh or Swami Vivekananda, they could understand the spirituality properly, but not the common people. Like common people, common society is governed by Brahmins, and Brahmins never say that you are Brahma, because they wanted to prove that you are Shudras, I am Brahman. So they never propagated that Aham Brahmasmi. It is the Prabhupada who tried to propagate all the time that, or Swami Vivekananda kind of thing. So this was the main fundamental problem in Indian society. Now this, you can verify, the model based on spirituality and the model based on the money, and the government, if verifies, I am sure that they will get better results when we follow this model. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. And now, anyone want to ask any questions? The forum is open. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kumar. I have a question concerning your notion of evolutions of consciousness, where you show this different stage. Now, I am a scientist, and in terms of science, evolution means that something physical is going to proceed from one being to another. This common scientists would think of genes, for example. certainly you don't want to imply that. But then what do you mean in terms of evolution? What is that physical things that goes from one lower being to the other?
Now, there are two things. One is that can we verify something? Like you are interested in verifying something physically or doing experiment. That, okay, this mosquito is evolving to another mosquito which is better and can resist the mosquito repellent. That is the process of your evolution concept. What I am talking about this, our scripture says that we are passed through the some 84 lakhs species or consciousness. So what we believe, as per our tradition, or that I was initially some lower kind of species who has a lower consciousness, and then evolved in the natural process. Now I have become a human being, and as a human being also probably I lived many lives. Today I have evolved. I am giving this lecture. Okay, earlier probably I have pulled the rickshaw also outside. So this is what scripture says, that we are evolving, and evolution is my own desire also. Once we become human being, then it is our desire what we want in our next life, how we want to enjoy the life. So this nature provides all facility. Suppose I want to enjoy in a particular way and I have done good karmas. So nature will provide, or God has made this system, it will provide all the facility. So initial process is the evolution. You are naturally evolving, growing. And then in the human life, it's my desire, how I want to enjoy. So nature is basically providing all the facility to enjoy. We all want to enjoy and we are enjoying, that's all. Nature is providing all facility. We have to decide how we want to enjoy. So this is the scriptures. This is not the simple. I said that there are many things which you cannot prove experimentally. So what you are talking about, what you have observed in your experiments, the evolution process means some changes in the mosquito or bacteria or virus. So at that level, whatever you have observed, you have extrapolating. Now probably monkey has evolved to human being. This is what you are extrapolating. Okay. So we are not that concept of evolution. We don't have that concept of evolution.
Thank you. Next question.
Thank you, sir, for your very good lecture. Sir, in your lecture, you mentioned that birth and death are continuous processes, and we are souls and we continuously exist. What does our Indian scripture says about the time when there was no life on earth? Like there was a period when we had no life, and now we are having life. Where did that start from?
You have seen only Earth. Have you seen all the planets?
So I'm talking about the past phase of Earth.
Okay.
As science
But
predicts.
how can you say that probably we were existing in some other planet? Who knows? You have not seen. You have seen a very specific part. Okay. When you have seen a very specific part, you cannot generalize it. If you extrapolate it, if you see this much and you extrapolate it to this much, then you will be totally wrong. So you have to believe in something. If you see this much, you see what the higher space is saying, and you justify when you see whether the higher space, whatever higher space is saying, this in that space, this much is also correct or not. You have to see this thing. You cannot extrapolate. First you see the higher space, and if you want to test some small space, you can test in that small space. That is possible. But if you see a small space and you try to extrapolate to higher space, this is absurd, totally absurd. So first you see the higher space, then you try to see just whether this, whatever higher space is saying, that small space is valid, it is valid in the small space.
And sir, in your lectures, you also told that we are evolving from some lower consciousness to higher consciousness. So in your view, we are souls and we had lower consciousness also. Then what about the microorganisms? Like, do you
they
think
have
they
also consciousness? I think Vasudeva and all those, they can give you the better answer. I know little bit. So probably I'm not very right person, but they have also the consciousness. Next lecture you will
Thank you,
listen.
Yeah, thank you. One more question?
Yes, excuse me, sir. Yes, you had a very good presentation and attractive presentation. But insofar as you are at the beginning of your talk, you just introduced that how logic is instrumental in determining culpability of an accused and offender. Logic, most particularly logic, is essentially instrumental in determining the culpability of an accused or an
Yes,
offender.
okay.
Yes, because we are depending on empirical evidence. The testimonies of the witnesses advanced in the court of law, etc. And psychology is involved in order to determine the motive or intention of the accused or offender. But you just introduced that how logic is essentially an instrumental facet in determining the culpability of an accused.
The logic uses the facts, rules, observations, everything it uses. I said the logic doesn't mean that it just only rules. When you observe something, logic means it is a set of statements which consists of facts, rules. Okay, so you have logic, your logic will be based on facts also. So whatever facts is observed and what is the rule says, what is the motive, psychological rule says. Psychology also forms some rules. Or you can say, so the psychological rules, the facts, then your own logic, that decides whether the person is culprit or not. Okay, so that is what I say. Logic doesn't mean that only set of rules. Logic means observation of facts also.
So that's all. So what is the basic difference between logic and fact and a statement?
Logic is a set of statements consisting of rules, facts, etc., which you want to achieve some objective or goal. For example, I said the chess. Okay, chess, you want to defeat someone using your logic, and there are rules. Rules is that rook will move in this way, bishop will move in this way. That's the rule. So theorem, proposition, all are rules. Your psychological statements, they are all rules, you can say. Rules, in my term, rules I am using for the general purpose, not for specific theorems or proposition or lemma. Okay.
But motive is a psychological aspect.
So this is
that is determined
again
on basis of testimonies and evidence, direct evidence of the witnesses. Here logic doesn't have a significant role so far as...
Motive is also, from my point of view, motive is also a part of type of rule. Is a type of rule. Motive is also a type of rule. It is a psychological rule. It's not a mathematical rule. It is a type of rule.
Yeah, thank you so much. And now I would like to request to go for the next. Yeah.
Because we are having one more question.
Okay, one more question. The last question.
Sandeep, this presentation was very simple and very interesting. I have one question. What is this discontinuity in logic? I mean, little bit continuity and discontinuity. That is one question. And second thing is, I find that your whole presentation, so the two parts, there is also little discontinuity, I felt, because, this, what is required is basically putting in a mathematical framework, different kinds of other things which we are talking about, the spiritual concepts and the psychological concept. There is a need. I mean, there is nothing, any problem in the presentation, but that vacuum is inherent there. And I think it's a very big, opportunity for all of us to sit down and, try to work out, how to put in a very axiomatic and logical and mathematical framework the psychological traits, or let's say from the three modes from the Vedantic concept and the entire structure, and some inspiration we can draw from astrological concepts also. You'll see these different planets, they are like personality traits, and there are rules, like if they sit in one house together, then there will be problems, because that's also a kind of an axiom. But if we can try to, the human traits, psychology and spiritual concepts, if we can really put it in a, that's where is a need. And anyway, regarding the discontinuity logic, we can discuss later also. I think the time.
I just want to say one thing. First, we have to decide the universal space. And the universal space is coming from the axiom that Aham Brahmasmi. The rest of these things are all part of subspaces. Okay. So first, we convince everybody that this is the axioms which provides the universal space. Then rest of the thing we can solve.
So what is I am saying that rather than trying to convince, you start with that and develop the whole axiomatic structure, the whole theory. And then we and convincing is a different part, but let's develop the whole, the structure based, in axiomatic manner.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. But yes, pardon me, so we can solve it through this personal discussion. So I'd like to request now to go for the next. Yeah, thank you.
Before we invite our next speaker, there's a short announcement. There would be a meeting with the IIT Bhubaneswar director. So if there are speakers who would like to meet him at the guest house during the break, as well as during the cultural program, you're invited to come and have a short discussion and meeting with the IIT director for Bhubaneswar, Professor R.V. Rajakumar. So that's a short announcement. There'll be the vehicles waiting outside to ferry you there after this session. So now it gives me great pleasure to invite our next speaker, Shri K. Vasudeva Rao, President of the Bhaktivedanta Institute, Kolkata. He'll be speaking on Dr. T.D. Singh's Equation of Life, a computer simulation model of consciousness. So before inviting him on stage, I'd like to give a short brief introduction. Mr. K. Vasudeva Rao received his master's degree in computer science from IIT Kanpur in 1999. His deep interest in Vedanta and inspiration of Dr. T.D. Singh, a well-known scientist and Bhaktivedantist, guided him to pursue research career in Vedanta and science. In order to fulfill this unique interest, Vasudeva Rao joined the Bhaktivedanta Institute in 2001. Since then, he's been personally guided by Dr. T.D. Singh. Currently, Vasudeva Rao serves the institute as its president, and he's also an editor of one of its journals called Savijnanam, a scientific exploration of the spiritual paradigm. So join me to welcome on stage Mr. K. Vasudeva Rao, please.
Good morning. So I hope you had very good morning. In the sessions, they appear very interesting and interactive. So, excuse me. Hello. Hello. So, many of the times the spiritual concepts, they appear to be beyond reach of ordinary beings, including myself when I started. But when we joined Dr. Singh, the concepts are explained in a very easy, simple way. Whether they are true or false is the next step. But the first step is what the concepts are talking about. This is the first step in any path of self-realization or any spiritual tradition. So in this lecture, I would like to present the Vedic concept of life and some important terms which they appear in Vedic philosophy and the worldview, especially about life. So, this Dr. T.D. Singh's equation of life. Dr. T.D. Singh has written many books on life, matter and their interaction. This is one of the very good books, and life and spiritual evolution, and almost all of his articles are centered around life. So, and I use a computer simulation model which we all are very familiar. Basically, it is a game which we play all the time. I take this example to explain the difficult concepts in Indian tradition, especially in Vedanta. And what I speak, mostly the reference is these two books, and they are available free online at this website vedabase.com. Some of you are interested in more details, you can go through them, and mostly I will be referring to Bhagavad Gita, the concepts. And Dr. T.D. Singh's equation itself is from Bhagavad Gita. It is not the equation that Dr. T.D. Singh has invented. It is rather putting the concept in a easily understandable manner. So, Vedic worldview is basically that there are two fundamental realities, two fundamentally different realities. One is matter and another is spirit. This is the basic foundation of Vedantic philosophy. And what is matter? Matter is consisting of our physical body which we experience and physical things which we can touch, and space and time. Not only that, there are psychological entities which we talk about, like mind, intelligence, ego in day-to-day life. They are also part of matter. We will go through the lecture. And spirit consists of two different entities. One is God, another is souls. Their constitutional matter, to speak from our understanding, is same, that is spirit, but they differ in their quantity or magnitude. So, from this Dr. Shri Singh's equation, to put simply, equation of life is the physical body which is made of the chemical elements plus space and time. Then there are mind, intelligence and ego. They are kind of a software on this machine. But it is not just the software only, but they are also defined as a fundamental material elements in Vedantic tradition. Of course, all the material elements, they start from single point of single type of energy, and they undergo transformation from one another, and all the material elements are created, plus spirit and the soul. So, this is the equation, and we will understand this equation, how these are interacting in this talk. So, I am not a good video game player, I do not play video games, but for the sake of this talk, I have done a research to, in my previous talks I have used some other games, but finally as of now I am settled with this game, which gives me good approximation for what I need to explain. So, let us play for this game. Of course, we do not play, but already played game. I request all of you to observe in the game, and from the experience of the game, we will try to understand all these concepts, difficult concepts. And I have seen so far if we understand this model nicely, we can understand many questions. And many questions you can answer yourself even without asking anybody. So I request all of you to pay good attention. So let us play the game. So this is Subway Surfers. Some of you might have already played. So it takes 2 minutes. Please pay attention. So the game stops there, for us at least. So in this game, there are many things when you are playing the game which are happening yourself. Actually, you can understand all these concepts from our very first experience, and that's how the self-realization helps, and the advancement of technology is giving us a tool to understand. In the olden days, they used to say this world is like a play. We don't